you and Joscha Bach nudge each other on Twitter quite a bit in wonderful intellectual debates. And of course, for people who don't know, Joscha Bach is this brilliant guy. He's been on the podcast a couple of times. You tweeted, or he tweeted, Joscha Bach. Everyone should follow him as well. You should definitely follow Mr. Lee Cronin, Dr. Lee Cronin. He tweeted, "Dinner with Lee Cronin. We discussed that while we can translate every working model of existence into a Turing machine, the structure of the universe might be given by wakes of non-existence in a pattern generated by all possible automata which exist by default." And then he followed on saying, "Face-to-face is the best." So the dinner was face-to-face. What is Joscha talking about in wakes, quote, "wakes of non-existence in a pattern generated by all possible automata which exist by default"? So automata exist by default, apparently. And then there's wakes of non-existence. What the hell is non-existence in the universe? And also in another conversation, you tweeted it's state machines all the way down, which presumably is the origin story of this discussion.
Yeah.
And then Joscha said, again, nudging / trolling. Joscha said, "You've seen the light. Welcome, friend. Many foundational physicists effectively believe in some form of hypercomputation. Lee is coming around to this idea." And then you said, "I think there are notable differences. First, I think the universe does not have to be a computer. Second, I want to understand how the universe emerges, constructors that build computers. And third is that there is something below church Turing." Okay. What the heck is this dinner conversation about? Maybe, and put another way, maybe zooming out a little bit, are there interesting agreements or disagreements between you and Joscha Bach that can elucidate some of the other topics we've been talking about?
Yeah, so Joscha's an incredible mind, and he's so well read, and uses language really elegantly. It bamboozles me at times. So so often I'm describing concepts in a way that I built from the ground up. And so we misunderstand each other a lot.
And he's floating in the clouds? Is that what you're saying?
No, something like, not quite, but I think so. This concept of a Turing machine. So Turing machines, I would argue, and I think this is not the Turing machine. The universe is not a Turing machine. Biology is not even a Turing machine, right? And because Turing machines don't evolve, right? There is this problem that people see Turing machines everywhere. But isn't it interesting? The universe gave rise to biology, that gave rise to intelligence, that gave rise to Alan Turing, who invented the abstraction of the Turing machine and allowed us to digitize. And so I've been looking for the mystery at the origin of life, the origin of intelligence, and the origin of this. And when I discussed with Joscha, I think he was saying, well, the universe is a Turing machine. Of course, there's a hypercomputer there, and I think we got kind of trapped in our words and terms, because of course it's possible for a Turing machine or computers to exist in the universe. We have them, but what I'm trying to understand is, where did the transition from continuous to discrete occur? And this is because of my general foolishness of understanding the continuous, but I guess what I'm trying to say is there were constructors before there were abstractors, because how did the universe abstract itself into existence? And it goes back to earlier saying, could the universe intelligence have come first?
What's a constructor? What's an abstractor?
So the abstractor is the ability of, say, of Alan Turing and Gödel and Church to think about the mathematical universe and to label things, and then from those labels to come up with a set of axioms with those labels, and to basically understand the universe mathematically and say, okay, I can label things. Mm-hmm. But where did the labeler come from? Mm-hmm. Where is the prime labeler?
Even if the universe is not a Turing computer, does that negate the possibility that a Turing computer can simulate the universe? Like, just because the abstraction was formed at a later time, Does that mean that abstraction? This is to our cellular automata conversation.
Yeah.
You were taking away some of the magic from the cellular automata because very intelligent biological systems came up with that cellular automata.
Well, this is where the existence is the default, right? Does the fact that we exist and we can come up with a Turing machine, does that mean the universe has to be a Turing machine as well?
But can it be a Turing machine though? So there has to be and it can it be.
Can it be? Sure. I don't know. I don't understand if it has to be or not. Can it be? But can the universe have Turing machines in it? Sure. They exist now. I'm wondering though, maybe, and this is when things get really hairy, is I think the universe maybe in the past did not have the computational power that it has now.
This is almost like a law of physics kind of. So the computational power is not. You can get some free lunch.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we sit here in this period in time and we can imagine all these robots and all these machines and we built them. And so we can easily imagine going back in time that the universe was capable of having them, but I don't think it can.
So the universe may have been a lot dumber computationally.
And I think that's why I don't want to go back to the time discussion, but I think it has some relationship with it. The universe is basically smarter now than it used to be, and it's going to continue getting smarter over time because of novelty generation and the ability to create objects within objects within objects.
You know, there's perhaps it's grounded in physics. There's this intuition of conservation. Yeah, that stuff is conserved. Like you've always had everything. You're just rearranging books on the bookshelf through time.
So, okay.
But you're saying like new books are being written.
Which law do you want to break? At the origin of the Big Bang, you had to break the second law because we got order for free.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm going to tell you now is that the energy isn't conserved in the universe.
Oh, it's the second law. Okay, I got you.
So but not in a mad way.
Okay, so computation potentially is not conserved, which is a fascinating idea. Intelligence is not conserved. Complexity is not conserved.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose that's deeply connected to time being fundamental.
The natural consequence of that is if time is fundamental and the universe is inflating in time, if you like, then there are one or two conservation laws that we need to have a look at. And I wonder if that means the total energy of the universe is actually increasing over time. And this may be completely ludicrous, but we do have all this dark energy we have some anomalies, let's say, dark matter and dark energy. If we don't add them in, dark matter, I think, doesn't hold, you need to hold the galaxies together, and there's some other observational issues. Could dark energy just be time?
So figuring out what dark energy is might give us some deep clues about this, not just time, but the consequences of time. So
it could be that, I'm not saying there's perpetual motions allowed and there's free lunch, but I'm saying if the universe is intrinsically asymmetric, and it appears to be, and it's generating novelty, and it appears to, couldn't that just be mechanistically how reality works?
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, I don't really like this idea so I want to live in a deterministic universe that is undetermined.
Yeah.
Right? The only way I can do that is if time is fundamental. Because otherwise, it's all the rest of it's just sleight of hand. Because the physicists will say, yes, everything's deterministic. Newtonian mechanics is deterministic. Quantum mechanics is deterministic. Let's take the Everettian view. And then basically we can just draw out this massive universe branching, but it closes again. We get it all back. And don't worry, your feeling of free will is effective. But what the physicists are actually saying is the entire future is mapped out. And that is clearly problematical. And clearly...
that's not so clear.
Yeah.
It's just problematic.
Yeah. So it's
because that maybe is just the way it is. It's problematic to you, a particular creature along this timeline.
I want to reduce the number of beliefs I need to understand the universe. So if time is fundamental, I don't need to have magic order at the beginning, and I don't need a second law.
But you do need the magical belief that time is fundamental.
Well, I need the observation that I'm seeing to be just how it is all the way down.
But the Earth also looks flat if you agree with your observation. So we can't necessarily trust our observation.
I know the Earth isn't flat because I can send a satellite into space and I can fly.
Now you're using the tools of science and the technology.
But I'm saying I'm going to do experiments that start to show. I mean, I think that it's worth. So if I cannot do an experiment or a thought experiment that will test this assumption, then the assumption is without merit, really, in the end. It's fine.
Yeah.
So
that's a beautiful ideal you hold yourself to. That's given that you think deeply in a philosophical way, you think about some of these really important issues, and you have theoretical frameworks like assembly theory. It's really nice that you're always grounded with experiment.
That's all I have.
That's so refreshing. That's so beautifully refreshing.